Paul Harrell, weekdays from 4 to 6. Learn more at paulharrell.com. Then call or text Paul now, 870-275-9799.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, you see somebody else in studio. We got former State Representative Donnie Copeland is with us. Welcome back, Donnie.
Thank you, Paul. Good to be here, man.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're here. I heard Little Bird told me that you might be coming. Well, I mean, I knew you're going up to Greene County too, right? Greene
That's
County
right.
Republican Party.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Were you able to listen to the show on the way in?
I have not. I was trying to find the call letters. I'm ashamed.
Well, we're on different affiliates.
So.
You don't know. You listen to one spot in Arkansas, you got to know the other spot yet.
Right. So I'm
but the website
catching up.
paulharrell.com. You can go there.
Okay.
And then you
don't do that when you're driving. And I was driving.
Right.
So.
Right. Oh, okay. I see. But you click on the About button, and then you can get the affiliates.
Yeah,
for
I listen,
the listeners.
yeah.
I mean, I know you listen. I'm for the people listening. I'm trying. Okay. But welcome back. Welcome, first time in studio, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
That's good. So Josh Waters was just on. He's now in the other room there.
Who's this now, Josh Waters?
He's some guy. Some lawyer.
Is he
guy.
a lobbyist or a?
I don't know. He wouldn't.
Really wealthy guy.
He's filthy rich.
Yeah.
Josh Waters.
Yeah,
is.
I heard he's really wealthy.
He's filthy rich. I mean, he drove up in like a Maserati.
Oh, that's his Maserati.
That's his Maserati that you see.
I felt bad parking my Toyota beside his Maserati.
Yeah, that's the Maserati. Yeah,
the white one.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's
the Fit Edition, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Yeah.
He likes to blend in, and people, even cops don't pull over because the cops are like, "Is that one of our new state undercover Maseratis?"
Man.
And they're like, "Yeah, we don't even touch that."
Yeah, I hear that guy flies all over the country watching the Razorbacks. I mean, he just goes every home game and every away game.
He takes off in the fall and then for the bowl game.
Wow.
Whenever that is. Yeah. All right. All right. It's not the roast of Josh Waters. But Josh had a great idea because have you been going around speaking to some of these county committees
as well? I've been a great time too. So
Josh had this idea because we were like, basically, the conclusion was everyone is pretty frustrated with what's been going on down at the Capitol, the Marble Palace. The basically big government policies, not limited government policies. So the question was, well, what do you do next? And in light of that Conduit for Action article that came out yesterday about the kind of rehashing the fact that Asa took sides in primaries. Now, let's talk about that, for example, because here's former State Representative Donnie Copeland, who ran for Jane English's Senate seat. You were she was the incumbent. You were challenging her.
Right.
And he came out and endorsed her, and I think was with deceptive mailers about what Obamacare really is. And
it wasn't a think. It was. And he called me the morning after and said, "Man, you ran a great race." And I thought overall,
Asa called you the morning after.
Yeah, morning after. And you know that song, was it Carole King, The Morning After?
I don't know.
Anyway.
That's before my time.
That's true. Anyway, he calls me the morning after and says, "Man, you ran a great race. Boy, it was close." And
well, it was. Yours was the closest out of all.
And he said, "I think overall it was a clean race." And I said, "Governor, you're right, except for when you got on, different times you got on, did a press conference and said that Medicaid expansion is not Obamacare." I said that was the only thing that I thought was, not totally clean and true. And he never commented on that.
Yeah,
so,
Anyway, just get to
but it was a real good call, but back to your point, I mean but not only did he get involved in Republican primaries, he literally he advocated for a Democrat against a Republican.
When was that?
It was down south. And Trent Garner.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, Bobby Pierce.
That was. I remember that they did not. They were really hesitant to get on the Trent Garner bandwagon because Trent Garner, on his website, had a stance against expanded Medicaid.
Yeah, that kind of. But anyway.
I mean, where is that now? I don't know. But I'm saying that back during the race, I mean that was on his website.
And the governor actually came out and said we're not going to run against Bobby Pierce. We're not. He's an incumbent. I'd never heard of the opposition party that was in office as a governor say that, but ours did.
And of course Trent Garner wins, and Bobby Pierce loses. Trent Garner went ahead and ran against him anyway. Very, very interesting stuff. So what Josh Waters was saying earlier was if ACE is going to pick sides, shouldn't these county committees feel free to pick sides too?
That's a great point. I mean, man, no wonder he drives a Maserati.
I know, man. He's making those big bucks.
That is a great point. And here's what happens. This happens at the legislature on that level, and it happens right at this. What we're talking about right here is, the governor's involved, so we don't want to get involved. Or the governor wants this, so we can't fight him on this. Well, I think for these county committees, and man, I'm seeing it. I was in Ashdown last week, and man, on one hand, personally, they love the people that represent them as far as people, but man, are they angry about their votes. And they said, we're not going to vote for them. If we had a choice, we wouldn't vote for them. And so these county committees, I think, as representatives, we should represent the people. These county committees should represent the people, not the executive branch or anybody else. It's the vote of the people. So,
yeah, that's really
absolutely.
Good.
Great point.
We're talking with former state representative Donnie Copeland. He's here in town with Josh Waters. They're going to head up to Greene County here. And what time is that? It starts at 6:30, right? In Greene County. What was the name of that restaurant? Simpkins Family Buffet. All right, 6:30 in Greene County. Don't want to miss it. It's going to be a great presentation. Let's see here. I want to skip over to this. This is an interesting. I don't know if anybody saw what Tom Cotton said. Hang on one second. Over at Talk Business and Politics over the weekend, they did an interview, and he talked a little bit about Medicaid expansion.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I read that.
Did you read that?
Yeah.
I thought it was an aggressive, really aggressive. Let's see here. I'm having trouble finding it.
And a conservative viewpoint,
might
I add, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess I was trying. Here it is. I was looking for a red emblem. So Senator Tom Cotton says Medicaid reform central to healthcare overhaul debate. So you come down here. This is a Roby Brock interview. And, this is what he said. Quote, I think in the long run, Medicaid should be transformed into a system where our governors and legislators have a lot more flexibility. Now, so far, that is mirroring what ASA has said.
Right.
Right. Now, last week, Joe and I talked about how maybe flexibility actually just means more money. Like, we want to make sure the Senate doesn't do what the House did and cut off Medicaid funding.
I agree. Continue your thought, but I got another
no, you go ahead.
Opinion.
What do you think flexibility is?
I think you're right. I think that's what it means. But I think in ASA's specific case, he keeps using flexibility because he asked for that, if you remember, under the Obama administration, knowing he wasn't going to get it. So what that does, it buys him time. We got to file for a waiver. We want waivers. That all takes time, and more people are getting on the program. So I think it's a stalling. It's a four corners tactic.
Okay.
Using an old basketball analogy.
Okay. So Senator Cotton's statement goes on. Flexibility and discretion to design the system that works for our states. Now, just on face value, that'd be great. But we got to get, even if that's the case, Arkansas has to get control of the leadership so we can have the debate as to whether or not people who are able to work adults should have free anything.
When you say we have to get, the Republicans have the leadership.
Okay, yeah, all right.
We just have to get conservatives.
There you go. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean.
I'm not meaning to.
No, I stand corrected.
Yeah,
that's a great point, Donnie. It goes on. Tom Cotton, quote, Arkansas is a very different state from California or Oregon, said Cotton. Our governor and our legislature should be able to design a health care system that works for our population, end quote. Now, they've already tried to do that under the umbrella of Obamacare, and it was a disaster. And so it's funny how we have a government solution to make our health care better. Arkansas goes along with it, and now we need more government solutions to make our health care better, and on and on and on and on. And I want them to give up.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want them to stop. I want them to give up, and I want them to just quit regulating and let the free market take hold. That's what I want.
I'm going to really make some people mad right here.
Okay.
But Huckabee in the 80s or 90s introduced us to CHIP and got almost every child in the state on Medicaid. So now we're getting a lot of the adults on Medicaid. Mm-hmm. And if we're not, we're going to get to the place to where, everybody in the state's on government assistance,
and that's the goal.
Those are both Republicans.
That's the goal. That might not have been Mike Huckabee's goal, right? But if you go listen to Ronald Reagan in the 60s, it was the socialist goal. It's the communist goal. In his radio address, it's what they wanted to do.
And I think a lot of times, like Bush, compassionate conservatism.
Yeah.
And I love what Rush Limbaugh says. He's changed his deal about his, Institute for Advanced Conservative Studies. Now it's the Institute for Anti-Left Studies.
Yeah.
I like that. And here's why. Because Republicans, not conservatives, but Republicans want to get along with Democrats. Democrats want to destroy Republicans.
That's exactly right.
Republicans have to get to the point where they want to destroy, and I'm talking about policies, not literally, but they've got to annihilate, because those are socialist, progressive policies, and they need to be destroyed.
Yeah, and it really just comes, the leftists think that the responsibility of government to its citizens is unending. It's never fulfilled. It's a quest to perfect man, which can never happen. I mean, mankind is a piece of paper. Is not going to perfect us. Is not going to keep us from ever dying. Everybody's going to die. You know what I'm saying? And specifically, that's actually something to think about when we're talking about health care. Now, that's not to say that. Look, I mean, health insurance and health care, two different things. We have health care in this country. It was the greatest health care system in the world. You could still argue that it is, but it's on life support, pun intended. But we got to get to a point where, I mean, Obama was actually genius for his policies, if we think about it, because this was not
from
just
a progressive standpoint.
From a progressive standpoint, this was not just about getting people more comfortable with socialism and entitlement and saying, hey, Donnie, you owe me to pay. You need to pay for my medical bills. But then it also accomplishes the idea of redistribution of wealth.
Yeah.
Because we're all paying out the nose, so other people who don't work can get something for free. So Tom Cotton went on here.
I'm liking this. I read some of it, but I'm liking it less the more I read it.
Well, okay. Well, that was the beginning of it. All right. So the beginning of it just kind of sounded like, we're echoing some of the state officials, like Dismang and Hendren and Hutchinson and that sort of thing. But then Tom Cotton says, quote, just a couple of weeks ago, they had a special session that moved about 60,000 people off of the Medicaid rolls. Well, first of all, that hasn't happened yet. Okay. Because they got to apply for this waiver, this part-time work requirement or whatever, which is really, I mean, to me, what they're asking for is kind of a joke. But he goes on, we'd like to give them more flexibility and more discretion to say, have a small co-payment requirements or adjust income levels to reflect economic and healthcare realities in Arkansas. We'd also like to make sure that other states that spend way more than we do on Medicaid are not continuing to be a drain on taxpayer dollars from Arkansas. Ultimately, so that's the statement. Then Tom Cotton goes on and says, ultimately, our goal should be to get most able-bodied adults off of Medicaid and into a job and onto the individual market so Medicaid can continue to provide the role that it did before Obamacare, which is supporting the elderly and disabled and the severely poor. So
I love that statement, except for the most. Most part.
Yeah.
Because
most.
I think we need to get everybody that's not elderly and severely disabled.
Off.
We need to get every single one off.
I would agree. I would agree with that.
And get a JOB.
The interesting thing here, though, to me is I feel like the end of this statement is more aggressive than Asa Hutchinson is. I mean, I know that they'll say,
shocker,
Arkansas Works, is about, they said it's about a work requirement. It's about jobs. It's about getting the staff. To me, there is kind of ignoring the fact that there's a welfare cliff, and now you got to work 20 hours a week, and if you work too much, you won't qualify for the program, or if you get offered a raise, now you have to pay for your health insurance, and there's still a welfare cliff in these work requirements. I mean, it's very real. There's still a disincentive to stay poor with these work requirements. This is a program that's now up to 300,000 people. It was never supposed to be more than 215,000. It is a. You talk about leftist studies. I mean, this is an example of what the left does.
Yeah.
And we've got to have a much more full-throated, and I think Tom Cotton is kind of approaching that line of saying, hey, look, we got to get these people off of the rolls. Now, here's the question about that statement, and this is what I would love an answer to. If they can't get a job, if they don't get the job first, right, and don't get off the program first, are we willing to say we've got to scale the program back? Sorry, no health insurance. You're now uncomfortable in your poverty, and you're able to work. Go get a job.
Great point.
And that's what no one's really saying.
Yeah,
here.
and that's it all goes back to those super tough decisions. Now Tom Cotton has cut his teeth on making some tough policies, tough decisions. So I applaud him wholeheartedly. And I understand he's trying to deal with the governor. He's a U.S. senator. He's trying to
they don't want to undermine.
Lightly. Yeah, I get it, and I actually respect him tremendously.
Right.
But at the same time, you've had a Republican governor that has not only continued the policies of a Democrat, he's exacerbated them. And he's created in all of this. What's really to me been so disingenuous is all this feign. Well, we need to really cut back. We need to get some work requirements. But every time a Josh Miller or somebody else tries to offer something, I offer a bill saying, hey, let's send out a notice saying that this is going to end because you said it's going to end. And, oh, no, they didn't want to do that. They actually offered up another bill that he supported to confuse people so that when my notice that passed the House and the Senate and became law, when it went out, it had so much other stuff in it, it would confuse people. And so that right there tells me I can't hear what you're saying for seeing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And what you're doing is adding to progressive policies. And here's another thing, Paul. Foundation for Government Accountability out of Orlando, they have proven that I believe it's 91% of the people who lose coverage, they go get a job, and it results in coverage.
Yeah.
So I don't think you wait till they get a job to lose coverage.
No, I don't think you do either. You got to cut them off.
You got 90 days.
Yeah.
You got 60 days, you got 30 days, whatever. And I'm not saying it ends midnight tonight and they got the notice.
Right.
Give them 30 days, 60 days, but give them a small window of time and watch them move, and they'll go get a job. And people can take care of themselves.
And this isn't even, what we're talking about is not even anywhere in the leadership's vocabulary. None of their phrases. They're not thinking about this at all. They don't really care to. I've said this before, but ACE's to the left of the House's bill. I mean, in many ways to the left of Paul Ryan. And now you have the Senate. And ACE's to blame. Governor Hutchinson is to blame for how painful this is now going to be if they do put traditional Medicaid back to 70-30.
And he's actually used that. He's used that as leverage, saying, "Oh, this
expansion
is
to 70-30."
This is going to really be painful. We get this many people off.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah, it's his
that's
fault.
That's why we tried to freeze it.
That's exactly right. And you didn't want to do it, and the hospital said no. Special interest said no, and you listen to them instead of being a leader. And the Senate's job in D.C. is now harder because of governors like Asa Hutchinson, because he failed to lead us out of an entitlement program for able to work adults.
You dress that up any way you want, but you just nailed it. That's what it is, And here's the thing: if that was a Democrat, I'd be saying the same thing. If it was a Republican who had made the right choices, or if it was a Democrat, I'd be applauding them. I don't get into ideologies. I don't get into likes or dislikes. You're either against greater government, larger government, or you're for it.
It's easy to see what you've done. It's very easy to be objective. Okay, what have you actually done? Past the spin or whatever. The fact is, Asa gets into power, and the enrollment of this government program is X, and now it's Y, and Y is much higher than X.
And all the way back to your policy. Your point about the primaries.
Yes.
So much so, he was so committed to this that he campaigned against.
He did the unusual thing and got involved in the primaries. And he's going to get involved in primaries again. But now it's maybe not so. At that point it was just, I'm doing this for my policies. I got to save Arkansas. Well, okay. Well, now we've kind of done the Arkansas Works thing, and now you're going to apply for the waiver. And
now why are you involved?
Now why are you involved? Is it because you're a progressive liberal on other issues and it wasn't just socialized medicine?
Yeah.
That's the question that these county committees, they're now starting to ask. And it's like, well, it's just this one issue. You know, it's just this one issue that we differ on, but I'm real conservative of everything else. And then it's the same crew every time, the same bunch in the leadership that they're always, well, I'm conservative, you know, but I just got to vote liberal in this one time, you know. It's frustrating. Donnie Copeland, I appreciate it, sir.
Paul, thank you so much.
Yeah, I really do.
Been an honor.
Absolutely, having you in studio. Folks, we're going to take a break. We'll be back in just a moment.